Hello everybody and welcome to the virtual back to school night for the 2020-2021 school year. My name is Danica Schmedding and hopefully you're here watching because your child is in my Honors Algebra 2 class. A little bit about me. I am a Rutherford resident for my entire life. I went through the Rutherford Public Schools. I graduated from Rutherford High School. I have been teaching my entire career here at Rutherford for the past 15 years, and for the past 5 years I've been the STEM supervisor, where I am in charge of the math, the science, and the engineering department. Since I currently live here, I guess you could say I am a bulldog for life. Here is my grading breakdown for Honors Algebra 2. So the majority of class is tests and quizzes. That makes up a big 70%, but also keeping a nice percentage there for homework and classwork, and staying on top of those really does help either hurt your grade or help your grade depending on how well you're staying on top of homework, how your children are staying on top of their homework and their classwork. I'll talk about each kind of category and what goes into that as we go forward. So the first would basically just be homework. I do give homework on most nights. Now, I'm not the type of teacher that believes in giving, 50 problems in a night and that rote practice over and over and over again for everything. At times it is important, but the majority of the time I try to give, if you could do it in 6 problems, then you can do it in 50 problems. So I don't need to make you do it that way. I sometimes check assignments, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I kind of just get into it and say, hey, let's talk about our answers. What do we have questions on? A lot of times I will post answer keys on Google Classroom so they can just look and they know right away before we start class, I need help with number 7, I got that wrong. So I do try to stay on top of that and making sure they're responsible for checking their own grades. And again, sometimes I do check, and when I do check the homework, I normally grade it on a 2-point scale. Now the 2-point scale is for completion, not correctness. So if there's a 0, it means your child did not do it. If it's a 1, it means about half the assignment's done. And if they got a 2, that means the entire assignment was complete. Now, if I ever choose to grade on correctness, they will know ahead of time. So before I give the assignment, I will make sure, hey guys, tonight I'm going to, make sure you get this homework correct because I am grading you on accuracy. So they'll know ahead of time. In terms of homework, I do not accept late homework unless, your child was absent. Otherwise, if they were in school, I do not accept any late homework. In terms of classwork, what we have in that classwork bubble is a variety of things. One would just be basic classwork. What are we doing every day? I might let them know, hey guys, I'm going to grade this on completion. Here's our assignment. I'm going to make sure you get this done. We start in class. Maybe you finish up your homework, but I'm going to put it into your classwork category. I also will start giving some type of SAT assignment. It might be weekly, it might be daily, depending on, but I do believe practicing SATs is very important. And we'll talk about the different ways that I assign SATs later on when we get in later on in my presentation. We also probably will do some type of do now. Hopefully we'll start to maybe get back to some type of normalcy where we'll have a little bit more class time and then they're practicing different SAT questions or NJSLA questions or ACT questions as a do now every day in class. Right now, I'm going to assign those more as weekly assignments because I want to make sure that I'm making the most effective use of our class time together. And sometimes the do nows might take a few minutes, and I'd rather at this point maybe do it as a weekly assignment and we talk about all of them at once. So that's kind of what goes into our classwork grade there. Now for tests and quizzes. When I give tests and quizzes, and again, this is 70% of the grade, they are very similar to class assignments. So if your child is staying on top of the homework, the classwork, and they're understanding it, then they should be successful on the tests and quizzes. If they're struggling, as soon as they start to struggle, I say, hey, come see me. Let's go over this. Let's make sure so we don't fall behind because, as I said, the tests and quizzes are very similar to what we're doing in class. I will at times ask them to think outside the box and get away from being what I like to call math robots. And maybe explain their thinking and take what they learned on one problem and now apply it to a different type of problem that requires the same thinking, but the problem might look just a little bit different. In terms of quizzes, most of the time, 90%, 95% of my quizzes are announced. Every once in a while, I will give an unannounced quiz. And with tests, I announce them at least 2 days in advance. But most of the time, I'll say, hey, guys, we got a test coming up in 2 weeks. Get ready for that. Now, in terms of our resources, first, we use Big Ideas Math, which is our online textbook. We don't give out paper textbooks. We utilize Big Ideas Math, which they all have accounts for, they've all logged into, and that's a great resource. Sometimes assignments will come on there, sometimes tests, different assessments might be on the Big Ideas Math platform. We also use IXL, which is a little bit more of that rote practice. So depending on the topic, I might, lean towards IXL more. I might use different, resources, like we were just finishing up functions, and Khan Academy had some wonderful videos and problems that I used a little bit more, where other topics I don't really use Khan Academy for. So I kind of bounce back and forth depending on the topic at hand. And then another resource that we use regularly throughout the year will be Algebra, which is our SAT resource. It has other things for it, but primarily I will use it as an SAT resource when we're going through. Now with Albert, one of the important things is that in those SAT assignments, I will make sure that they're only really seeing topics that they've learned or they are able to complete. I'm not going to give them pre-calculus questions when they haven't even gotten there yet. So they'll see algebra, geometry questions along those topics and those material. So our curriculum, very quickly, because this is where all the parents start to glaze over when I talk about this, we have complex numbers, we go to quadratics, we go to polynomials, we talk about rational and radical functions, we get trigonometry, which is kind of the building blocks to lead us into start for pre-calculus for next year, and we also cover exponential and log functions. And those are our major ideas, and we cover a lot of little stuff within there. Some frequently asked questions I get, so I tried to remember what I'm asked in previous years. First, their notebook. They're in high school, whatever they want to keep. I don't care. Just keep your notes, keep them organized, make sure you have everything that you need there. In terms of extra help, I'm always available. I kind of sometimes beg them to come for extra help because I want to make sure that they know what they're doing. But my schedule is very flexible, as I have, they might have a study hall and I might be in my office at that time, and I tell them, hey, if you're in the building and you want to come up and just during your study hall, we'll sit down, we'll take 10 minutes, we'll go over it, that's great. If they're at home and they want to Zoom in during their study hall, that also works for me as well. And again, just like every other teacher, I'm available all afternoon right now for any extra help at any point. I let them know, just email me and we'll figure it out. In terms of makeup work, I am pretty flexible as long as your child communicates with me. That's one of my big things. Hey, let me know if you're a little overwhelmed. I'm flexible as long as we have that conversation. In terms of extra credit, because I always get this question as well, I'm not a big believer in extra credit because I do give a lot of opportunities to earn grades throughout the quarter. So it comes up occasionally. I might give 1 or 2 extra credit questions on tests or quizzes, but generally at the end of a quarter, if somebody's sitting at an 88 and they ask for extra credit, I do not give extra credit at that point. And then in terms of absences, like I said, with makeup work, as long as they're talking to me and letting me know, hey, I was sick for 3 days, I need a few days to make things up, I'm A-okay with that. I am very flexible as long as they communicate with me. Just a reminder, if you have any questions at any point throughout the entire year, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email. You can find our emails all on the rutherfordschools.org website. That's probably the best way to get in touch with me. And then if there's anything further, we could always set up a phone conference if needed. Thank you again for taking the time to watch this video, and I'm looking forward to a wonderful year.